Welcome to the Geek Show podcast. We are here in the Geek Lab. Today, we will have guest Bo Keister on the show. But before we do, I gotta give a holler out to our brand new sponsor. Warner Bros. Games presents The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Over 200 awards, defying next generation. Massive open worlds. And this world does not need a hero, it needs professional. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, now on PS4 and Xbox One. Buy it now. So we're going to jump into this interview with the star of the Hillbilly Horror Show. And y'all might remember him from Remember the Titans. This is Bo Keister. Welcome to the Geek Show podcast. We're here with today's guest, Bo Keister. Keister. I didn't want to say
as laughable as it may be.
I didn't want to say that and be wrong. I knew I was going to butcher it.
No, it's perfectly okay.
Bo Keister. A lot of people might remember him from the Remember the Titans movie or from the brand new comedy show in it, Hillbilly Horror Show.
Yep.
So, Hillbilly Horror Show, how did that come along?
Well, it all kind of started a couple years before we ever got it going. When Blue DeGoye and I met when he was doing his film House of Good and Evil. He actually was scouting locations in Floyd County, Virginia, which is one county over from where I live. And I had a small acting studio where I taught, a handful of students in the evening in downtown Christiansburg, Virginia, of all places. And he was, looking for, different resources, local people that might be into film and things like that. And somebody over in Floyd knew me and suggested that he reach out, and he did. And, we just kind of hit it off. And I was able to help them out with the film. I actually ended up playing Sheriff Hannah-Tusky in the film. And Blue and I just stayed in touch. We kind of had the same mentality about the business, and we're real into the indie thing and doing taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and doing our own thing with it, and creating our own work rather than waiting for the industry to discover us and our grand genius. So we just kind of started pantering ideas, and towards the end of 2013, he threw the idea for Hillbilly Horror Show at me, and it just fit. It was a great idea. We're both in the same kind of age group. We grew up on the old horror host shows, Elvira, Joe Bob Briggs, Tales from the Crypt, Creep Show, that kind of stuff. And that's a really underrepresented genre or subgenre of horror these days. You just don't see a lot of horror host shows anymore. So we felt like it was time to kind of pick up that mantle, and hopefully we're doing really well with it. So far, our audience seems to love the show, and we just we keep trying to make it better and better each time, and it's working.
Is it meant to be a comedy-based horror, or is it meant to just be straight horror?
Well, what we try to do is with the horror short films that we select for the show, and we get quite a few submissions, and we seek out a lot of submissions. We really watch the festivals. If there's a horror short that's out there that's getting into festival after festival and winning award after award, we want to go after that, because we want to make sure that whatever we bring the audience is the best of the best. And with the horror shorts, we try to not just it can't be all just blood and guts and gore all the time. We try to include a little bit of flavor from some of the subgenres of horror, so that you got a little bit in there for everybody. If it was just all zombie shorts, it would get boring after a while. So we try to get a nice blend of the horror short film But then we build a comedic wraparound story with our hillbilly characters, which is myself and Scott Geider and Rachel Faulkner. And, that gives our audience a little chance to kind of breathe coming out of the short films, maybe catch a laugh, and then, we go right back into the horror.
Where can people find this? I know there's multiple platforms. If somebody's really interested in watching this.
Well, I tell you, we're expanding constantly, and it's almost getting easier to tell you where we're not at than where we're at. But basically, we started everything off on Vimeo. And all the volumes are there on Vimeo to be seen. They're 99 cents to rent them, I think, for 24 hours. So if you go to Vimeo and you just you search for Hillbilly Horror Show, you'll find the volumes there. So that's one way to watch them. Now, if you don't want to watch on your and also, I don't know what I'm thinking. You can go right to hillbillyhorrorshow.com, and all the platforms that we're currently on are there on the right-hand side up the top of the page. Volumes 1 and 2 are both on DVD now. Volume 2 just released, and you can find it through pretty much every major retailer, from Family Video to Barnes & Noble to Best Buy to Amazon. They're there to be ordered, so you can get the first 2 volumes on DVD, and Volume 2's got some really cool, fun extras on it for people to enjoy. But we're also on, I believe, 4 or 5 Roku channels now. So you can if you've got a Roku, we're on Cult Movie Network, Film On, IndieFlix, and Tubi TV. So you can find the volumes through those, and then lastly, we are now working with a company, and we should be popping up on iTunes and Amazon Prime and Google Play soon.
Is Netflix ever going to be an option for your show?
Boy, I hope so. Netflix is tough to get in the door with. I think it's a possibility. Also, we're working with people to get in front of networks like Chiller, to where maybe we'll be there on the Chiller channel one day, which would suit us fine. And we'd love to be in a situation like a Netflix or Chiller, where we're producing these more often. We're releasing 4 volumes in a much more rapid fashion. Right now, we drop a new volume about every 3 months or so. We'd love to get it to where we're filming, pretty much we'd like to make it more of a series style thing where, maybe you do film an entire, 13 episode season and run that season and then go back and film a new season. It's just a matter of, having a company behind us financially that, and has the platform to put it out on, and then, having the short films, and there's no shortage of really great horror shorts out there, so I'm sure we'll find those.
And then you're also now working on a new project through Indiegogo called Finding Waldo. Tell people about that.
Yeah, this is going to be a great film. And it's a real departure from what people have seen from us in the past. The feature that I worked with Blue on originally, House of Good and Evil, was, it was a very stylized, paranormal thriller, psychological thriller. And this is, far removed. This is kind of The Hangover, had a kid with Thelma and Louise, and it grew up to be Sideways kind of thing. But basically, the story follows my character, Chance Reed, who was, a big-time pro football player, basically lost his career and destroyed his life through alcoholism and a fateful night of drunk driving. And we pick up his story where he has, gotten out of prison, he's on parole, and he's working in the mailroom of this Lloyd's of London-like insurance firm. And he gets summoned to the president's office, and the president of the firm is actually played by my dear friend Richard Reilly, who I worked with on The Cabinet. And, of course, everybody's going to know Richard from, Office Space and Joe Dirt and The Fugitive. And, I mean, he's only been in about 350 projects over his career and then some. But I get summoned to his office and get tasked with going and interviewing Waldo Green, who is a world-renowned eccentric novelist who's claiming to be insane. And his brain happens to be insured by the insurance company. So now I'm sent in to determine whether or not he's nuts because there's an $80 million payout hanging in the balance. And I go in and everything goes awry, and Waldo ends up kidnapping me, busting out of the psych ward, and taking me on the road trip from hell. And through the twists and turns, Waldo and Chance kind of bond, and you see that. But when the twist ending comes and you realize what the end game is, it's really going to blow people's minds. And so we're looking to shoot it this fall in Arizona, but we got to get some help from people out there, and that's why we started the Indiegogo campaign. Our partners at Planet Capricorn have come on for a good share of the budget, and now it's time for us to get it completed so that we can go and make a great film. So if I want to encourage everybody listening, go to Indiegogo.com, search for Finding Waldo, go and check out our campaign. You can also find it on Facebook, facebook.com/Finding Waldo Film. And you can also follow us at Twitter at Waldo Film 2015.
Definitely awesome. Everyone out there, go check that out. Definitely help him out. Bo Keister, man, is a very talented actor. If you haven't seen him in anything, you go check him out. Give him an opportunity to blow us away with this movie. So.
Well, we've got big aspirations. I mean, we feel like this is kind of one of those films that has such a broad audience appeal that it's got the potential to go to the big festivals. It's got the potential to see little gold statues and things like that. We've got stars in our eyes on this one for sure.
That's awesome. You were talking about football, a football player in that movie. This wouldn't be the first time you've had a role like that, would you?
Yes, that's true.
A lot of people don't probably, like I said, they remember you from Disney's Remember the Titans. Before we talk about that, I gotta ask you, did you play football ever, like college or?
I played through high school. I love football. My dad coached high school football for several years, and I absolutely love the sport. My friends will attest that come football season on Saturdays, if Virginia Tech is playing, you will not hear from me unless you're near my house, and that's usually me screaming at the television. So, but yeah, I am a diehard football fan, and I played through high school, and I got real fortunate to be in Remember the Titans.
How surreal was it to get to act with Denzel Washington?
Oh, it's one of those moments where you just kind of stand in awe. He has always been one of my favorite actors. I think he's brilliant. I honestly could not tell you a role I've seen him in where I did not like his performance. I mean, he is just brilliant and a nice guy to boot. And you know, what was even cooler, I mean, you know, here you are, and you're on this huge set. I mean, the nights that I was filming the sequences that my character was in, we had 1,700 extras on set, up in the stands and everything. So it felt like, you were walking into a high school football game. That was really cool. But what really made the whole thing so great for me was my father actually coached against Herman Booth years before T.C. Williams was formed. And so when I got the audition, my dad told me the whole story behind it. I knew, everything there was to know. And, then to book it and get to be part of it was really cool. And then years later, in 2012, I was filming Reunion 108 up in upstate New York. And Billy Sample, who wrote and produced and played one of the characters in the film, Billy, for those who don't know, Billy played Major League Baseball for, Lord, I think like 12 years or something like that. I mean, he played for the Yankees and the Braves, Texas Rangers, and he was from close to where I grew up in Virginia, but he was the star running back for Andrew Lewis High School, which is one of the teams that played the Titans in the playoffs that year that the movie is set during. And, so it's just kind of weird, it's like, you got the connection to remember the Titans with my dad, and then here I am, 13 years later working with someone who actually played against that team. And I just thought, I was like, man, that's I can live with that. That's neat.
It's a small world. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you never know what kind of connection you have to anybody.
That whole 6 degrees of separation thing starts to look a lot smaller real quick.
You also in another movie called Vampires Anonymous. That was a interesting movie. How did you enjoy filming that one?
Well, believe it or not, that was actually my first speaking role. That was the first film I ever booked. I got called in to read for it and did real well in the audition, and I got called in for the callback, and director Michael Keller said, okay, we're just going to improv this scene. And, he was playing the character Vic, the vampire in the film, and I'm, of course, playing my character, which is one of the bad guys who doesn't like Vic so much. And he said, just do what you think your character would do. So we kind of banter for a minute and get in an argument, and, next thing he knows, I'm in his face. And he said something to me, and I grabbed him by his shirt and pressed him over my head. He goes, cut. That was great. That was the end of my callback. And I'm driving home going, I probably shouldn't have done that. A young actor, I was eager. And sure enough, I ended up booking it. And later, Michael told me that that was what got me the role. Was I was the only person that auditioned that had the guts to put my hands on. And he said that's what the character would have done. And he said you were the only one that had the guts to do it. So go figure. The one thing I remember about that film more than anything, though, is we were filming one night, and I was coated in fake blood, and it was about 40 degrees. And let me go ahead and inform horror fans, that ain't fun. That shit is cold, real cold. And then when you have to take your shirt off so that they can rub shaving cream all over you to get the dye out of the pores of your skin, it gets even more damn cold. I mean, my nipples could have cut through a diamond. Woo!
Oh, wow. That's
damn cold.
Of the years that you've been acting, what's been the one role that you've done, no matter what, you think that is what I wanted to do?
Oh man, I've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff, but I did a film. Funny enough, I literally the day I wrapped on House of Good and Evil, the next morning I flew out to Michigan to start work on a horror comedy called The Cabinet. The character, the second I read the character of Bruce, I knew I wanted to play him because I automatically connected to the character. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. All these light bulbs in my head just started going on. And I got the humor behind him. I mean, it's a really clever script. It's a slasher film, but it's not. It's just kind of, it's smart enough that it knows where to make fun of your typical genre tropes. And it was just really well written, but I saw where I could play with that character and kind of expand and improv a little bit. And Steve Copera, who wrote and directed it, gave me a lot of levity with Bruce and let me run with him on a few occasions throughout the filming. And that's the kind of film I love doing. I'd always done, either heavy drama or, bad guys or, this or that or the other, but I had really been itching to sink my teeth into some comedy. And when I got that opportunity, I just ran with it. And, I went to AFM to help promote it in 2013 and had people who had seen the film coming over to me going, dude, you're like Will Ferrell, man. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take that compliment all day. All day. But that was the one that, at least thus far, that's the one that has been the most fun for me because I was just kind of let off the leash and allowed to run and play. And of course, we had a great cast. Mike Capera, Angela Relucio, Melissa Mars, Richard Reilly, Lou Sprain, Chuck Solly. Just a ton of people that, just came together, and the cast just automatically, you could tell there was a great chemistry between all of it, and it just rolled. It was so much fun. That's the most fun three and a half weeks I think I've ever had filming. And I didn't want to leave. I was like, can we just keep making more movies? Just keep this going.
So being an actor, are you a movie buff? Like, do you watch movies, or are you one of those kind of? Are you picky about what you watch?
I watch movies as often as I can. Usually in my downtime, if there's a movie on and I'm not, sitting in my chair falling asleep from, running my tail off all day, then I love to catch a great movie, and I love to experience all different types of movies too. It just depends. I got to say, I watched Gone Girl for the first time the other night, and that is the screwiest ending to a movie I've ever seen, and I want producers to know that I am angry, and I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened next. I thought the concept of the film was amazing, but the ending just pissed me off, man. It's like, I want to know, I do love movies, and, pretty much anything by, Tim Burton, anything by Tarantino. If it's on, I'm watching it, Stephen King. It's just, I love it all, man. I love the industry I'm in. I love the work that I do, and I love to experience the work from other filmmakers too.
Here's a question, and I know this might take a little bit of thinking on it. So, if you could be a part of any movie, like a remake, what movie would you want to be, and what part would you play?
Wow! Oh my God! That's crazy. Man, if we're remaking it, and I could pull off any character in it, even though I'll preface this in saying I don't think you can ever remake this movie, at least not remake it and do it well, would be The Godfather.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I love The Godfather. Now, I wouldn't be able to play The Godfather, but that's always been one of my favorite movies. But I love that film. I mean, and to be part of something that iconic, that just stands the test of time, and is considered, arguably the best movie ever made. Yeah, I'd take that one all day, every day. Maybe I could be the next Tom Hagen. You never know.
That'd be one of those movies that'd be interesting to watch if it got remade. Definitely.
I'd probably end up in a bed with a horse head. That would be my luck.
And the thing is, these days when they do remakes, they try to fit, like Godfather was 3 films. They would try to probably smash it all into one film.
Oh yeah. They find some way to fuck it up completely. I guarantee it.
That's
why I'm not big on that. And here's the other thing. And I don't mean to get into the politics of Hollywood by any means, because the studios, they're in this business to make money, and I get it. But here's the thing: there are so many talented, creative people. My business partner, Blue DeGoye, certainly fits into that. Who have original, brilliant stories out there that could be told, and told really well. Let's tell those stories. Let's put something new out there. Let's bring some of these people that are in the indie world and give them the opportunity to shine, rather than going and remake Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You can't remake that movie. It was too great when it was made the first time. You're not going to make it funnier. You're not going to make it cooler. You're not going to do it better than it was already done. So quit trying to do that and go find some original shit. Go find some stuff that really kicks ass, because there's a lot of it out there. And I've read at least, I think, 5 or 6 scripts that Blue's written, and all of them I'm sitting there going, dude, we need to do this. We need to do this. Because every time I read one, it's a cool new concept. It's something different. It might be a story we've heard before, but it's got a great new twist in it. Or it may be a story that hasn't even been told, and you just know it's going to set people on their ass because it's such a great film, or it's such a great script. It's going to make a great film. But then, as indie filmmakers, you got to get out there and scrape and claw and get pictures of people burying dead hookers so that you can get them to give you money and everything else just to get it made. And then once you get it made, you've got to scrape and claw to get it made. And I just think that does such a disservice to filmmakers and screenwriters out there that have great, original, fresh content when we're out there remaking crap that was already done perfect to start with.
Have you think that Hollywood's just become to the point now where they think they're just trying to make money on remakes just because they think, is it because they think they can make it better, or is it just because they want to just market more money out of it?
Well, it really is a money game. That's just the bottom line of it. And you know what? Hey, I don't fault them. Your job is to make money. If you're an executive, that's your job, is to make money for your company. But at the end of the day, I think we need to, as an industry, we need to turn, more towards making the indie films a little more prominent. And we've done that to a degree, but now you're seeing, you're seeing films like Veronica Mars going and raising their money through Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Well, how does a film like ours, like Finding Waldo, compete with that? We don't have the marketing machine behind us that they have. And so, now we're competing for visibility. Well, hey, people out there that are willing to donate to a film, come donate to a film like Finding Waldo, because I can guarantee you we're going to kick a hell of a lot more ass than Veronica Mars.
Except for, that was just them trying to get the last little bit of money out of a show that was canceled prematurely.
Right. And you know what the thing is I'm all for them making that movie. By all means, please make that movie. But you already had the funding was there for you. You didn't need to go crowdfund. Crowdfunding is, for, jerks like me who are scraping and clawing to make a kick-ass film. They didn't need the funding. They could have gotten the funding anywhere. I just would love to see the industry start to put its energy towards some of the independent filmmakers and some of the new filmmakers out there, and quit kind of rehashing the same old shit. It's time for the new shit.
Has Broken Lizard, do you think they fell into that category when, them asking for money for Super Troopers too?
Well, it could be that they just, now that was borderline. Super Troopers was great. They may not have been able to really get the funding for Super Troopers 2. Sometimes even though you have success with one film, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to automatically be able to find the funding for the next one. And when you can't, when all those doors are locked, you've got to do what you got to do and turn to the fans of your first film. And I think that's what they did. And that's perfectly okay. Because that started indie, and you know what? Keep it indie. That one doesn't bother me as much as one that, you've got a whole troupe of A-list stars attached to it, and I had a filmmaker friend of mine, we're sitting around watching the Oscars one year, and he I won't say which one it was, but when, Best Picture gets done, the director's up there and he's saying, thank you so much for believing in our little indie film. It's not a little indie film. You had an $8 million budget. You had, 2 Academy Award nominated actors in your film. And they've been nominated for Academy Awards before they were in your film. So, don't talk about your little indie film that could, When you're up there and you've got not one recognizable name in your cast and you're winning an Oscar, then tell me about your little film. That's that was his whole point in it, and I thought, wow, he's right. He's really right.
That's, Oscar.
Yeah, shoot that $8 million film for $100,000 and take it to the Oscars, and then talk about your little film that could.
Do you think indie films get overlooked at the Oscars now?
I do to a degree. I think the term indie has gotten skewed. Because now it seems like, if people can get the funding behind it, if you've got the resources to produce a 4, 5, $10 million film on your own, say you're independently wealthy. I do this. I'll be honest. I do the same thing. If I win the lottery this Friday, I can tell you right now, I'll be producing my own films, for $2-3 million a pop. And yeah, I'll put A-list stars in them. And yeah, eventually one of them will probably end up at an award show. But, there is a difference between those types of indies and what I refer to as true indies, where, it's a team of unknowns. It's a story that, hasn't been told or has not been told that way, and you're working with a skeleton crew on a shoestring budget, or as I like to say, you're shooting it for a roll of duct tape and a case of beer. And I think there's a big disparity between that type of indie film and the types of indie films, or quote unquote indie films, that you see going to the Oscars and some of the other award shows. And it's not that I knock them. I mean, and I mean, many of those films I absolutely love, but I just don't consider those true indie films, because they've got the financing behind them, and they've got the A-list celebrities attached to them. And some of the other films, just one that comes to mind is the Brothers McMullen, which is when it won Sundance, kind of set the indie world on fire. And then another one that won at Sundance called Balance.
Yeah.
Most people have never seen that. My friend Johnny McPhail was in it. That's a great film. Most people don't know it, and you didn't see it at the Oscars, but it won awards at Sundance. Those to me are the true gritty indie films because of the way they were shot and the way they were done. And those are the types of films that, I think should get recognized. And those are the types of films that I would like to see the crowdfunding audience start pouring their resources into. Because I can tell you right now, we're filmmakers like us. We are hungry. We are gritty. We are out to make the best damn movie we can make. We want to wow our audience. We want our audience sitting there at the end of the damn thing, and when the credits start rolling, nobody says a word. You can't even breathe. You're just so struck with what a great piece of work you just saw, and then let it erupt from there. That's the kind of films we want to do. And we're not the only filmmakers like that. There's tons of them out there, but we're going to be the ones that are going to we're going to aim to give you our best every time, we step on set. Whereas a lot of times, other films, they've got the money and, they've got great catering and all of this stuff. And it's about, they want to make a great film, but at the same time, they want to make a ton of money off it. We want to make a great film. If the money comes, that's great.
How has Netflix and VOD changed the industry, from DVD sales?
Well, I mean, you're definitely going to see a drop in DVD sales. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, this is the way the industry's trending, and you've just got to learn to roll with it. Now, I'd like to see those channels open up and not be quite so hard to get in the door with. I'd like to see them give the little guy a voice, and I think eventually they will. I think it's just part of the evolution that's got to happen within the industry, because there's too many people, there's too many great projects out there to just let them fall by the wayside. And eventually, I think, the Indie Flicks of the world, the iTunes of the world, the Amazon Primes, I think that they'll evolve, and I think you'll start to see more of that indie content popping up, at least the really good indie content, which will be a great avenue for people to get their work seen. The other thing is that I think you'll see other platforms. I mean, you look at Roku, channels like Indie Flicks and Cult Movie Network and Tubi TV, they're putting a lot of this, they're putting a lot of this indie content that, is doing brilliantly on the festival circuit. They're taking it. They're taking it and putting it out there for consumption, and people like it. They like it.
Is like I know you're talking about like the content. A lot of stuff now, like the video game consoles, like the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, they stream content now. How hard is it to get on those like servers?
Well, we're actually the new company we're working with. That's exactly what we are working with them on, is getting us out, onto the Xboxes, onto the PS4s, and the bigger platforms like iTunes and Amazon Prime for Hillbilly Horror Show. So it is possible. It is possible for the little guy to get out there. You've got to find a company that loves what you're doing, believes in your ability, and at the same time, it's on us as filmmakers. If we're putting out a crap product, what's the motivation for anybody to pick it up and want to put it on iTunes? You've got to bring good content. You've got to make, if you're doing series or doing a movie, it doesn't matter. You've got to put out good content, and I think that's what we're doing with Hillbilly Horror Show. I know that's what we're going to do with Finding Waldo, and there's a lot of filmmakers out there that are doing the same thing. The content is quality, and if you've got quality content, there will be a home for it. You just got to push.
So how often does trying to push your content on this stuff, does it ever get discouraging?
Well, there's not much in the film industry that isn't discouraging at one point in time or another. But you either make up your mind to succeed or fail, and that's kind of the end game of it all, and that's the reason so much of this business is about attrition, more than it is anything else. But yeah, I mean, it is difficult. It does get discouraging sometimes, but you either believe in what you've got as a product and you believe in your capability to get it out there, or you don't. And fortunately, we as a team, the team behind Hillbilly Horror Show, the team behind Finding Waldo, we know we've got the right products. We know we're going to create the right product, and we know we'll find a home for it, and we won't quit till we get there. I mean, that's just we don't even know what that word means. I mean, we kind of come at it with a Vince Lombardi attitude, and just we're going to dig our heels in, and they're going to have to deal with us, or we'll keep pushing until they do. So we don't stop at all. So,
do you, by any chance, I ask everybody this, do you watch any of the newer TV shows that are out there, like Walking Dead, Gotham, stuff like that?
I am the biggest Walking Dead junkie on the planet right now, I think. If they ever kill off my boy Norman Reedus, if they ever kill off Daryl Dixon, they're going to be hearing from me. I'm telling you, I'm going to drive to Atlanta, and we're going to have this come to Jesus meeting. I love The Walking Dead. God, they're really, if you think about it, I mean, this is high times for series television.
It is.
You've got The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones is another huge one, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. I'm sitting there going, I have entirely too much testosterone for that show, right? I decide, fine, I'll watch an episode. I binge watched the first 2 seasons in 48 hours. Just love the characters, love the storyline. Ray Donovan is another one that I think is a brilliant show. And even, you've got Empire, and another one on Starz, Outland, is another terrific series. So, I mean, you've got so many great shows out there. It's almost, it's almost too much. I mean, I sit there and I look at, what I DVR, because I don't get a lot of time to watch TV. I got too much crap to do. But I record everything so that I can binge watch it, on a down day or something like that. Good God. I mean, my DVR stays full. I mean, I have to watch stuff just so I can delete shit so I can record more shit. It's, kind of like the old George Carlin routine. A house is a place to keep your stuff while you go out and get more stuff.
Have you watched Daredevil yet?
I have not. Oh God, don't get. Come on, Geek. Don't give me another one to add to the list. Damn, I'm going to go get a whole other DVR.
It's on Netflix. It's.
Okay. We're okay then. I can work on that.
Yeah, Netflix released a Daredevil show, and it is amazing. Like I'm halfway through it. I started watching it yesterday. Oh my gosh, it's great. I'm actually.
Well,
I'm gonna have to finish it by tonight.
See, I'll have to add that one to my list. But now, funny enough, you mentioned Netflix series. Several of the folks that work on Hillbilly Horror Show work on House of Cards because it's, of course, shot in and around Baltimore and D.C. So yeah, I mean, I know most people would probably think that we just, tote, family members up there, out of our trailer park and have them, film the show for us. But no, we actually use professional people, with the exception of our director, Sharif, who, Sharif's not terribly professional. I hope he's listening. No, we love Sharif. We love our crew. And with that said, with everything that's, going on in Baltimore, I know this will probably air once things settle down, but much love to our crew and our friends there in and around Baltimore. Stay safe, and we hope things settle down. So,
yeah, I want to say crap. This crap going down in Baltimore. What do you think of it right now?
Man, I try to see the things. I mean, I grew up around police work, and the police officers that I knew growing up were always good people. They were just down to earth country guys, and they treated people fairly. But I think if you look at the reality of the world and you look at the reality of what goes on in these inner cities, the people who are out protesting, they've got a reason to be out there. They're not just out there, for the fun of it. And I'm referring to those that are there protesting peacefully. But, as more and more evidence kind of comes to light with these situations, and, we saw it in Ferguson, and now we're seeing it in Baltimore, and we've seen it in other areas. I mean, it's been going on for years. There's a problem there, and it's got to be addressed. And these people in the inner cities have got to have a voice, and it's just a sad commentary because, I don't see people as black. I don't see them as white. I don't see them as, yellow, brown. We're human. We're human, and we're seeing this everything from, civil rights, gay rights and all of this stuff. The sooner we learn that we're all the human race, I think we'll all get along a hell of a lot better. Whatever your personal agenda is, that's fine. I don't have a problem with a person's religion, their belief system. That's your belief system. You stick to yours, I'll stick to mine. Just respect me and I'll respect you. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to respect anybody anymore. Everybody just wants to push their agenda onto other people and make them try to fit in the box they think they should be in. And you can't do that, and you can't oppress a group of, a demographic. But for so long, I mean, if history has proven time and time again, when you push people down, they will eventually push back. And I think that's what you're seeing with this. They're, these people in the inner cities, they're tired of it, and they're not going to put up with it anymore. And it's a sad thing. It's really sad, but I feel bad for people of Baltimore, and I certainly hope that citizens there. I hope things will settle down. I hope they stay safe. And of course, at the same time, the police officers are people too, and they're out there doing a job, and it's a tough job. I know that, having grown up around police work a lot of my life, and certainly wish them well and want them to be safe, and just hopefully everything settles down and cooler heads prevail, and that's when a meeting of the minds can happen and you can actually sort some shit out.
Do you think somebody can make a movie to, you said like the situation that's going on and addressing it? You think that movies could be used to address this maybe, and maybe bring people together?
I think so. One thing I don't like is when people make a movie about that particular event. It's like 6 months after that particular event, we're making a movie about that particular event. I think the movies that affect people the most when it comes to issues of social and civil outrage are films like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. John Singleton told the story. He didn't tell one particular story. He told the story of what happened in South Central LA, in that time period with the violence and the gangs and things like that. And that's what made people perk up and pay attention. He wasn't rehashing something we had already watched on CNN for 2 weeks straight, and then tried to put it together into a movie, 6 months later. He took the collective and told a story that resonated with people. And even people like me, I lived in LA for 7 years, but, I drove through and in and around, South Central LA a few times over those years, but it's not like I went down there and hung out and, went to the swap meet, so, boy, that would have been a sight to see, my country ass going down there, hey, how y'all doing? that would have, that probably wouldn't have gone over so well. But the thing is he told the story of what it was like to live there and what these people faced. And he told it over, a period. And he showed how things changed and shifted. And people took notice. Even people like me, I think I was living in Tennessee when that movie came out. And even I was like, damn, well, if it's really like that, that's got to suck. It opened people's eyes to things. And I think when filmmakers make it a point to open people's eyes to things through telling a story, that does a whole lot more than trying to rehash a recent event and, retell it. People just live through it. We don't want to watch a movie about it. But tell me a collective story that gives me perspectives from a lot of different sides, and I'll listen. I think that's what we need to do as filmmakers, at least with regards to trying to dissuade some of the anger and violence that surrounds the stories of, Ferguson and Baltimore, and New York for that matter.
When you were talking about that, one movie came to my mind, Crash.
Yeah. Very much.
That was a powerful movie, and to me, I don't understand why Hollywood hasn't made more movies powerful like that.
They're hard movies to get made because at the end of the day, like we talked about earlier, at the end of the day, so much of this industry is about making money, and if it's a film that people are not, they're not sure people are going to pay, $10, $12, some cases, depending on where you go to the movie theater, $15. If they're not sure people are going to pay to go in and see that movie, and that movie's not going to put, butts in the buckets, asses in the seats, it's kind of hard for them to justify putting the money behind it, regardless of who's cast in it. But I wish, like you, I wish they would make more films like that, because I would rather sit and watch that, than watch, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 6, to be honest. My kids would totally disagree with me on that. I'd be getting protested right now if I said that around my children. But, and yes, I will probably be sitting at the Avengers this week. You have to keep the natives, calm and peaceful. At least in my house.
But I mean, honestly, like I really am a nerd. So I'm gonna have to go watch the Avengers. But I enjoy all movies. I'm a big indie buff. So my goal in life was to watch every single movie ever made, and I realized that's never gonna happen. So
you will need to live to be a very old man. And be like the cartoon characters, where they're putting toothpicks in their eyelids to keep their eyes open. You might make it that way.
Yeah. It's funny because I love movies. It could be something that's cheesy, campy, and it could be something that it's just straight gore or of action. But to me, the movies that I remember the most are the ones that you can tell that they weren't there to make money. They were there because they loved it.
Well, exactly. And I mean, you can tell when filmmakers have really put their heart and soul into something. And those are the fun ones. Those are the ones that they've got a pulse to them that you just don't find anywhere else. And I'm like you. I love movies like that. And I think even with a lot of the big directors, I mean, if you look at Tarantino's work, if you look at Tim Burton, they're not afraid to take chances. They don't care if they fail. They don't know. I mean, it's not that they set out to fail, and it's not that they want to fail, but they just don't. They're not as concerned with success or failure as they are with telling the story they want to tell.
Yeah.
And telling it the way they want to tell it. And that, to me, is brilliant. That is real filmmaking. I mean, I'm convinced Tarantino must have a dump truck that follows him around just to carry his balls. Because I mean, and it's not that I love every Tarantino film. I love most of them, but there's a couple that aren't my faves. I mean, a lot of people love Django Unchained. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but I mean, give me Reservoir Dogs, give me Inglourious Bastards any day of the week. And then there's other people out there that will disagree with me on that and say, well, no, I didn't like those. I like this. But the thing is, I mean, the man tells a story, and he tells it the way he wants to tell it, and you don't like it, he doesn't give a fuck. And I love that. It's just, to me, that's what it's really about. And that, I want to get to a point in my career, as a filmmaker, whether it's in front of the camera or behind it, to where I can, have that type of courage to do that.
You were talking about Tennessee earlier. I'm actually from Tennessee. I'm actually in Tennessee now. I grew up in a town called Shelbyville, Tennessee. They made an indie film there called Our Very Own. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was about Sandra Locke.
Okay.
I actually, when I was in high school, they were filming it. I actually got to be a part of that set because I was in drama. I know what you mean when you're talking about how Tarantino was. That director, no matter what, wanted his movie the way he wanted it. And that was the thing is if the actors disagreed, he would tell them to sit out the scene and they wouldn't get to perform that scene. He would change it around to make it his movie.
Wow. Well, now I hadn't heard the film and I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything with regards to that. But I will say, now sometimes that's a bad thing. I mean, as a director, you've got to trust your actors to help you tell that story. But if you're, I mean, the one thing that great directors do is they know how to communicate with their cast. The cast knows well in advance what that director wants and expects and needs from them. I mean, when we did the cabining, there were a lot of things I wanted to do, a lot of improv stuff I wanted to throw out there, a lot of ideas in my head. And, Steve was okay with me going with a lot of that. But at the same time, he wasn't afraid to reel me back in and say, yeah, try something else. Or maybe give me more of this, less of that. And as a director, you've got to trust your actors. You've got to trust in their capability. And you got to just know how to communicate your vision so that they know where you're wanting it to go. And then when you do that, you've got to set a successful collaboration. But it can go terribly wrong if you've got a director say, no, I want this and this and this, and to hell with your ideas. It's got to be a partnership to a degree, but at the same time, when a director's got a certain way he wants something told, and there's a good reason behind it, then as an actor, you've got to be able to adapt to that vision and understand what it is they need from you, and that's the mark of a great actor, is someone who can work with whatever they're given and go with.
That director, I mean, that movie won a bunch of awards, but it made Shelbyville look like a bunch of rednecks. That was a part in the movie where they had a dog riding on top of a car. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, rednecks have gotten a bad rap to some degree in films over the years, and I don't know, some of it probably deserved in a lot of regards.
I mean, it was just like,
I've seen a few dogs riding on cars around my area of Virginia. I'm just saying.
It was just funny though. I mean, it cracked me up. And then, at the time that movie was being made, Jason Ritter was in the movie, which was John Ritter's son.
Yeah.
During the middle of that movie is when John Ritter died. So they had to continue the movie without Jason, because he was up in California with his family. So they had to turn back and go back and film everything that he missed later down the road. And you can tell like it was out of place when it was put in. It was just.
Yeah, and sometimes things like that happen, and I mean, scheduling is everything in this industry. I've come quickly to learn. It's amazing. You wonder, how some of these films, it's like, how did you get a cameo with so and so? You'd be amazed at the big name actors out there who are willing to jump in and do a quick 1 or 2 day role, on a small film, because it's a great story, or it's called something. They believe, it's a story that is important to be told, or something like that. And if you can get them in and out quick and work around their schedule, they're willing to do it. And I mean, Finding Waldo is no different. I'd worked with Richard Reilly on the cabining, and I just love Richard to death. He's a funny, just charming guy, and he's so fun to work with. And, I said, hey, we can shoot you out in 2-3 days. We'll, and everything. And he was like, he read the script. He loved the script. He's like, yeah, I'm in. And this is a guy that works all the time. I mean, I'm surprised Richard even has a house. He probably just lives on set most of the time. But yeah, I mean, you can get really great actors and recognizable actors to come on board if you've got a great story and you can schedule right. But yes, sometimes things like that happen, and it's tough to work around. And I mean, especially your lead actor has the death of a family boy. That's I hope I never have to experience that one.
Especially with it being such an iconic figure like John Ritter.
Oh yeah, I mean, God, I watch Bad Santa every year around Christmas time. I watch it like once a week leading up to Christmas. But God, I remember watching John Ritter when I was a kid, on Three's Company and everything.
I think
one of the best of the best. I mean, just a funny, brilliant actor.
So I watched him in Problem Child. I think that was the first thing I saw him in.
Yeah.
So.
God, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Whew, I'm starting to feel my age over here.
So, last question. I ask every one of my guests these questions, and it's kind of a very odd question.
Okay.
But it kind of brings you back to your childhood a little bit, too. What was your favorite toy as a child?
Favorite toy? Oh, my God. Wow. That would probably be my Millennium Falcon.
Wow.
Yeah. I was a Star Wars kid. That was the first movie I ever saw on the big screen. And I still can remember sitting in my parents' car listening to that movie crackling around over the little, window speaker at the drive-in movie theater that used to be in Fair Lawn, Virginia, of all places. But I can still remember it. I can still smell the damn popcorn in the car. And, I remember the year that Star Wars came out, that Christmas, I got the Millennium Falcon for Christmas. And I still have that damn thing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Any collectors out there that want to buy it, I'm selling it for $75,000. And I'm going to put that money into Finding Waldo and make a kick-ass movie.
Are you looking forward to the new Star Wars movie real quick?
Yeah, I am. And, now, I will say this. I've got a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old son, and I raised them proper. I started them with the same sequence of Star Wars movies that I saw. I raised my kids right. But I am proud to say that they are as big a Star Wars junkies now as I was at their age. And, we're definitely going to be, the trailer looks pretty cool. And the fact that, the fact that they've got, Han Solo and everybody back in there, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, real quick, how can people find you on social media?
Facebook.com/Bo Keister. They can follow me on Twitter at Bo Keister. And then, of course, Hillbilly Horror Show is on Facebook, Facebook.com/Hillbilly Horror Show or Hillbilly Horror Show. HillbillyHorrorShow.com has all of our contact information. As far as, if you've got a great indie horror short, send it to us. If you've got a product that, you want, we've got product placement opportunities available. that are affordable. You can get your product there on the show. All kinds of good stuff. You can follow us at Hillbilly Horror. And then, of course, Finding Waldo, the Indiegogo campaign. Please visit that. Donate if you can. If you can't afford to donate money, I mean, even if it's $1, we've got some great perk packages. But if you can't afford to donate, please, share with people on social media. Let them know about the campaign. Drive people to the campaign and encourage them to donate.
I tell you what, after you've been talking about this Finding Waldo, starting today, if this podcast is aired, anybody who buys any merchandise off of our website, we're going to donate proceedings towards the Indiegogo film Finding Waldo. How's that sound?
Oh, Geek, you are awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Definitely, if that'll help out, because we'll just get that started. So.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Every little bit counts. And we really, sincerely, we can't thank you enough.
Yeah, definitely, man. And we'll run that for the next month, so that'll help you out as much as possible.
Man, that is awesome. That is just too cool. Too damn cool.
Well, thank you so much, Bo, for being a guest, man. You've been awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please check out our website, tcgpodcast.com, and we will see you next week. And geek on.